Hello, today I'm in Moonwood Mill and I'm doing a shell challenge. So this one is for Simly Sash. You should check her out on Instagram and YouTube. She does amazing witchy cottages. They're beautiful. She's a great Fortnite player. So yeah, you should definitely check her out. I'll have her linked in the description and probably a pinned comment as long as I remember to comment on it, but I should. So yeah, this is her shell challenge. It is a little village, so there's 4 builds, which also means that this is going to be split up into 2 parts. It's going to be part 1 is going to be posted on Monday, which is my usual posting schedule. And then part 2 is going to be all of the interiors, and that will be this Thursday, which that probably doesn't mean anything. So Monday the 17th and Thursday the 20th in July, if that helps. So yeah, I decided to try and go for a mushroom type theme. Um I realized that it's more of like a fairy village than just a mushroom village. So I changed the name to Fairy Mushroom Village. I had posted a kind of like a content schedule of what I'm going to be posting this month, and I labeled this as Mushroom Village. But as I was watching it and trying to work through some bugs with my editing software, I was like, this isn't a mushroom village. I have made a mushroom village before, and it was actually giant mushrooms sized up and stuff. It was not functional. This should be functional. I know for a fact that the front right with the like reddish roof, I'm trying to get better at like saying which house is what while I'm doing it because it's gonna get confusing to me. Um, so the front right with the red roof, it isn't functional because I didn't add stairs outside. Um, I did a thing where it's like you walk up mushrooms to get in, and if I had put stairs, it would have ruined the look of it. So there's no way to get into that house, unfortunately. But it's like a quick and easy fix, I guess, if you wanted it to be functional. I also have a reference picture. I couldn't find it for a while, but then I realized that it was in a Discord, and it was Sam Abrigu from Instagram had posted some reference pictures, and so I was basing the theme off of like, I'll just show the picture. So yeah, here's the picture. As you can see, it also doesn't have too many mushrooms, which makes sense because while I was like looking back at this, I was like, Megan, you didn't really put a lot of mushrooms to be claiming this as a mushroom village. But then I had seen that the name of the like all the inspiration builds is fairy foliage houses. So I guess that's what I was going for. And I'm trying to like look specifically at any of the houses and see if anything really like if I copied something like specifically from any of the houses, where I don't really think so. I think I just liked that there was the giant trees on the houses. I liked that some of the roofs were green and like mossy. So that was like my whole idea. I guess the color of some of the roofs I is what inspired the front right one too. So yeah, that's that whole thing. I really like those that style for the references. So if you find any of them really cute and you decide that you're going to build one of them, I'd love to see it because they're really really good. And I don't think that I'm skilled with the Sims tools and like tool mod to pull it off in a really nice way, but I know that there's some Sims builders that do way more with tool and making custom like detail pieces. So if that's you, I'd love to see it. I'm sure Sash would be amazing at something like that too. So yeah, I'm bringing Sash back up because this is her shell challenge. I'm not sure how she shows the entries. I know that there's a hashtag for it. Is it like hashtag Sash or 15K? let me take a look as I talk. But yeah, I'll explain like what each of these builds are. You won't really see the interior of them until Thursday. So if you're not subscribed and you would like to watch part 2, make sure that you're subscribed and you'll it'll pop up in your subscription feed. I don't really know Instagram. I don't know how YouTube works very well. Okay, I found the hashtag. It is hashtag Simly/15K Village. Okay. So if you want to see other people's entries for this, you could look that up either on Instagram or on the gallery. And I've already seen a lot of really good entries. And I believe that Sasha's last shell challenge that she did, which was for like 15K, so she grew like a lot pretty quickly. When she did her 5K shell challenge, she posted her favorites. So I'm sure she'll do like a similar thing with this shell challenge. I've already seen some of them. They're great. I'm glad I finished this before I seen a lot of them because I would have gotten in my head and been like, mine sucks, delete. Because this is like the first shell challenge that I didn't delete my build multiple times. Usually, if you like seen any of my shell challenge videos, I'm like, oh yeah, I built this like 3 times. I demolished it. It sucked. And now I'm redoing it for like the 3rd time. This one I didn't do that. It's just like I started it and I was like, oh, I don't have a lot of time, so I need to get like going on this because it's 4 houses. Like the shock that I felt when I like placed this lot down a week before the due date. Oh, wait, I guess it was 2 weeks before the due date because it was originally due the 17th, but she like pushed it back. So yeah, that doesn't matter. I didn't know that she was pushing it yet. So I put it down on the lot and I was like, oh my God, these builds are huge. Like this is like one of these builds is my normal speed build size because my houses are usually like 1 to 2 bedrooms and there's 4 of them. So I automatically already knew that I'd have to make it a 2-part because there was no way that I was going to upload a 40-minute video, mostly because like rendering long videos usually causes issues for me. So if they're not under 30 minutes, it becomes a problem. And then I also don't like I don't like making too many cuts on the videos too. So I don't like cutting out things. So all of my videos you'll see like pretty much everything that I like do on like each side of the build, like each individual grass. I'm sure I don't need to show me placing every single one, but I usually do. And the only cuts that I make are when I'm like scrolling through items or if I take a long pause, and that usually cuts down the video like extremely. So if you're ever curious about how I edit my videos, I make a million cuts of me scrolling and me like looking through everything. And it takes up, it's like surprisingly shaves down the video a lot, except it takes me forever to do it. So I almost lost all of these videos because I thought that my editing software was just like not running on my computer anymore because it was so laggy, and I was like so scared that I lost this video, Thursday's video, next week's video. And it ended up being okay. I was just, I think, panicking a little bit too early, but that really doesn't matter. I haven't really spoken about the builds much at all, but I will now. So the back left build with the giant tree on it and the pink mushrooms, that is going to be a reader's home. So I have a like 2-story tall library from like floor to ceiling on 2 floors, where like you cut out some of the floor using railings, which causes so many issues. You'll see it in next week's video. I don't think I cut out the issues where the roof, no matter what I do, the roof starts breaking into the build. So I have to redraw all of the walls, and I have to like make sure I put the wall paint back. It was a mess. I did that with 2 out of 4 of the builds, and then once I got there, I was like, no more. I'm not doing another sort of thing like that. But it looks really nice in the, I guess it's both of the ones to the left. Okay, so I'll move on to the front left with the green roof. That is going to be a wedding venue. Um, it's pretty small. I think it's the smallest of all four of them, and I didn't want to do four houses because I felt like I would get bored of doing the same house over and over again. Because, like, as much as I try to make my interiors a little bit different, it's never going to be completely different for like it to be interesting for me to build and also for you to watch four times back to back. And I'm pretty sure net like that video is over 20 minutes long. So you don't need 20 minutes of the same interior over and over again. So I have the reader's home in the back. The left is the wedding venue. And so the front right house, the one that's not functional, but it has the mushroom steps going up, that one is another house. I believe that one is a one bedroom house. It is a little witch's cottage. I have a hidden cauldron room in there, and then the back one, like with that giant tower piece sticking up from the middle, that one is a museum because I was like, what do I do? I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. And I was like pulling out items and I was like, oh, these items will look cute in like a witchy magical museum. I feel like the interior is pretty lazy. And I do like the idea of a witchy museum, like a museum of magic or something like that. So I would love to make a build like that one day and make it more detailed. So I think that that's gonna have to be something I write down so I remember to do, because this one, it's not, that's probably like the least detailed out of all four of the builds. I don't think it was the last one I decorated, but I did do it like right after I did like a big portion of one of the other ones. So I was like, I felt like I was getting tired and I was like, okay, time to be lazy in my interior. And like I say that, I'm sure like if you watch it, it's probably doesn't seem super lazy. I think just like anytime you're creating something, you're always going to be harsher on yourself than like other people will, unless people are just going to be mean to you. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what I was like thinking while I was building this because that has been a little while. Um, I don't even remember when I don't remember what I was thinking while I was building this. I had the idea that I wanted each house to have its own like theme for the mushrooms, which didn't end up happening. I think three out of the four have different mushrooms. So one is green, one is pink, one is brown, and the one in the back, I don't even know if it has any mushrooms on it. I put a bunch of ivy around, which I think is kind of like what I was going for the theme. I was like, okay, super overgrown, covered in ivy, and just like mushrooms as accents. I placed some gnomes around too. I have a pirate gnome that's sitting in the little pond over there. It's like wearing a raincoat, which I guess isn't really pirate attire. I don't who am I to say what pirate attire is, though? I don't really know much about pirates, but yeah, I put some gnomes around, so it could be kind of like a gnome village too. I didn't put a whole lot of them though. I think I only put like maybe like five scattered around. There's a ghost gnome on one of the roofs. I think he's my favorite. He's just hanging out over there. um, yeah, and then I am trying to like use roof detail pieces more in my builds because I know that anytime I see someone's build, I'm always like blown away by their roof details and their chimney placements. So that's something that I've been like trying to incorporate into all of my builds from like the last year or so. I feel like if I look back a year ago at my builds, they were definitely way more simple to the point where I'm like, why did I think that I was like doing something? Like, I felt like I really accomplished something. And I don't know. I guess it's just like styles grow and evolve over time. And I like how my style has evolved. I like that there is more detail in it, and that's like all thanks to just like people on Instagram and stuff and watching people's builds and like seeing them, because it's like super inspiring and motivating to like see something and be like, oh, like turns out I can add more detail to my build because I see that people are doing that with like columns and stuff. And I remember talking to Juby Sims one day about that. And so I feel like every time I'm trying to add detail to my build, I'm like, okay, Juby adds columns, so add columns to your builds. And so it's just like constant things like playing in my head. But guess like the back right one, I added some of the flowers to the roof, and I really like those giant flowers. I like a lot of the flowers that I put on the roof. I used a lot of different ones that I don't normally use. Like if you've seen my builds, I do put a lot of plants on the roofs because that's kind of like my easy way to add detail to it. um I haven't really added these ones, so no, I'm a liar. I've added those flowers recently in my spellcaster house series where it's like the bright white houses. I did add that on the farmhouse one, so I guess I was lying to myself. But there are some that I haven't really used. Like there's some, I don't know, it's in different ways, I guess. It's also been a while since I did those ones. I feel like I build and then I instantly forget what I do. But yeah, I add ivy around to every little part of the build where I think it's like boring and too much blank space. I also end up putting like slime drips and like wall cracks all around. So any wall that I feel like it doesn't feel like covered enough, I do that. And it works for my style where I feel like I can be a little bit lazier with my builds, where I'm like, okay, if I don't like the wallpaper that much, it's okay because the ivy and all the wall cracks will kind of change the look of it. So I don't have to think as much with it, because I think one of the most stressful parts of building for me is picking out the wall paints, both interior and exterior. I feel like it's always a struggle. The options are pretty limited for like what I like to use, and I think like the wall decals really helps to change it up and makes it easier for me to like. So I use an assortment of them. I don't think this was a pack limited shell challenge, which if it was, then I didn't do the shell challenge correctly. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't pack limited. Um, I hope not, because I used like almost every pack. Yeah, the wall decals that I used like the Jungle Adventure ones that are like giant, because I don't get to use those very often. So it was nice. Like you could see it here and there. Um, I also really try to put more furniture outside. I don't normally do that. And so I like wanted to make sure that I incorporated things like that. So I'm stacking a bunch of books up from the Book Nook kit that I sized up. And then, like, the idea was that like those were books for gnomes. And like I guess it doesn't make sense because the interior is like average sim sized. And then the exterior is like these giant books that really like aren't scaled to anything around except for that one gnome in the middle. So I guess maybe he just has his books around. I don't know where he lives. He lives somewhere around the town. He doesn't live inside these houses. But he leaves his books here. Maybe that house in the back left is a library, but it's like not an official library. Like maybe it's someone who lives there and like lets people borrow their books or something. But yeah, that's the whole video. I'll be posting part 2 on Thursday, and you could see me on all of my social medias. I'm now on Threads too, so you could find me there. But yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.